It's week 2 in the NFL this week with a slew of good games that we're going to be discussing and talking about today on on the Regular Guys podcast. Um, and we're going to jump into week 2 because week 2 started off interesting. But let's get into the week 1 games. And I think one of the week 1 games that I really want to get into is the Baltimore Ravens game, where the Ravens was up with 4 minutes left, 40-25, and Buffalo comes back and just surprises everybody, and basically comes back and win that game, which was shocking to me. Um, that was one performance that I'm gonna dig into later on in the show. But then I think the Pittsburgh game, Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns. Man, that was crazy. Um, I'm gonna say this: week 1 to me is a fill out. It's basically for a lot of the starters that didn't play, a lot of the that didn't play in preseason, and for them to get their legs and everything back up underneath of them. Saying that, also you got to look at the fact that you also got to look at the fact that, hey, it's we're going into week 2 now, and let's see how some of the teams fare in week 2. I really do think week 3 to week 4 is basically that time frame where you want to see the teams that is going to really be doing their thing. And I think by saying that, you're going to start seeing a lot of movement. If you look at the Eagles game, the Eagles won 24-20. Nobody expected Dallas to come out and do what they did, especially with their coordinator and their defensive coordinator and their offensive coordinator there. And, everybody was basically saying, hey, I don't think that they that Dallas is going to be the team that everybody thought Dallas was going to be. And I do agree. A lot of us didn't think that. A lot of us didn't think that Dallas was going to be the team that Dallas was going to be. That Dallas started off. Everybody thought that game was going to be a blowout. Heck, I thought the game was going to be a blowout. In that Dallas game, but it turned we had a lot that we we thought that they was going to go certain ways, but they didn't. And then we had certain ones that was like, okay, I'm surprised. So, you know, um, saying that basically, show basically us that this is going to be a different first couple of weeks in the NFL. We've seen everybody do their thing week 1. I think week 2 now, with the slew of games that are coming up, that is going to be interesting, starting with the Thursday night game with the loss for my Commanders. They went into Green Bay. Green Bay got a whole lot of wide receivers that they could get the ball to. But I think the tight end, Tucker, I think he's probably going to be one of the most dominant tight ends in the league. And I do see Green Bay giving a lot of teams problems. I love the way Matt LaFleur schemed it. A couple of the plays I called, I was like, when the man go into motion, that's who the ball going to. And when he went into motion, that's who the ball was going to. It's just Washington didn't have answers for it. But also, if you go back and look, Matt LaFleur did that when Dan Quinn was in Dallas, and Dallas had that defense, and Green Bay went into Dallas and beat them. Why? Because Matt it up perfectly. And Michael Parsons, who's a handful for a lot. They're playing Dallas in a couple weeks. They're playing Philly in November. So you're going to have a lot of eyes on Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to be one of the surprising teams that a lot of people is probably going to be like, it's a young team. We didn't expect this team to do this, but it's going to happen. Now, the other thing is, I do think that they're going to make a run for them to make. It's going to be one of them where they came off and said, hey, this is what. So I think they're going to make the run. They're going to do their thing and everything else. I don't think I'm worried about them. But again, week 2 is very interesting with the slew of games that's coming up. I want to see what Joe Flacco is going to do on his first game back in Baltimore as the starter with Cleveland. I think that Cleveland defense is going to give problems, but I think Baltimore. I looked at, I think the other game that is going to be of interest to me is the Kansas City Philly game. I want to see the rematch of the Kansas City Philly game. I want to see what ball and how they going to contain quarterbacks like they did will prevail with Kansas City, because like I always say, you got to do a running quarterback like they do basketball players. If you got a right-handed basketball player, you play him to his right, you force him to go left. If he left-handed, you force him to go right. And that's the same thing that I was saying about these scrambling quarterbacks. If you got one that loves to run to the right, you play him to that right side, you're going to force him back left. You're going to force him back into the coverage. You're going to force him back into the defense alignment. The same with the left-handed ones. You got the left-handed runners. You're going to force them to that right side, force them back into the heart of the defense. So if Kansas City can do that, they're going to, contain Philly and slow that Philly offense down. I think the other one that I really is going to be keeping my eye on this week is also the Detroit Lions game when they play Chicago and the Pittsburgh game. The Detroit Lions game is going to be very interesting too, because Caleb Williams, he came out like 10 for 10 in week 1. He started good against Minnesota, 10 for 10, and then the bottom fell from up underneath of Caleb Williams. And being the number 1 overall pick and what everybody was saying about him, I don't think Caleb Williams that guy. I don't think he's going to, take Chicago to that next level. I think Ben Johnson offense with Caleb Williams running it isn't going to be electrifying like it was in Detroit. That's one. The Pittsburgh game, I want to see if Aaron Rodgers can continue doing what he's doing against Seattle, because Aaron Rodgers put up 4 touchdowns last week in a win. I want to see if he can do that again, and if Pittsburgh can shock a lot of people and say, hey, what about us? So we'll see. We'll see. I know Buffalo is going to be Buffalo. They got Josh Allen. Josh Allen is going to, do his Josh Allen things with his supporting cast that he has. The other one is Cincinnati. Jamar Chase, for some reason, got held down by Cleveland, but they're going to face a totally different team. They're going to face a Jacksonville team that has a good running game, that has a good quarterback, and that has a good, solid defense. So let's see if Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joey B, let's see what they can do and if they can put more points on the board. The other one that will probably be one that I is going to keep my eye on is a Sunday night game, the Minnesota and Atlanta game. I like to see what Michael Penix is going to do and JJ McCarthy, the two youngsters that came out last year. Let's see. I like to see that duel. But I think the other one is also the Tampa Bay Houston game. CJ Stroud in Houston is 0-1. I don't have him going 0-2, but he's playing a tough Tampa Bay team that will actually, see to it that that will happen. I think the Chargers and the Raiders, that's going to be also another good game that is going to be on Monday Night Football as well. So we got a slew of good matchups coming this weekend. We got a slew of games that are must see, must watch games, especially the rematch of the Super Bowl, and see what happens. I wasn't impressed with a lot of the week one games, but again, it's teams coming off of the preseason, going into the regular season, and it's teams coming off of saying, hey, I think our offense is this and I think our defense is this. So, like I said, the first month of the season is basically everybody's preseason. I want to see what's going to happen after the first month of the season. I want to see what teams may go 1-3. I want to see what teams may go 0-4. I want to see what teams may go 2-2. I want to see what teams are going to go 3-1. I want to see what teams are going to go 4-0 to end this first part of the quarter of the season, as they call them, because the season is broken up into 4 quarters. Quarter 1, the first 4 games. Quarter 2, the next 4 games. 3, the next 4, so on and so on. So I want to see how that's going to play out and how that is going to, affect a lot of the teams moving forward, injuries and everything else. I know with us, we got Austin Eckler out with Achilles. It will probably be he's done for the year and probably his career. And see what moves is going to be made and to see basically how they're going to come out of this what we call a mini bye, because you're not going to see them again for 10 days when we play the Raiders here in Landover. And again, it's just going to be, week 1, okay. Week 2 is what I want to see, and week 2 is going to be, like I said, a lot of notable matchups. And to me, I'm not making MVP picks or all of that stuff. We're not doing that till later on in the year. That's when you can see how everybody is. That's when you can start determining, oh, yeah, this team is going to jockey for the playoff. This team is going to make the playoffs. This team may make the Super Bowl. This team is going to be in position to knock this team off. This team could be a title contender and all of that. So I'm not going to make all of them, judges yet or make all them calls yet. But we will get into that later on in the year. It's going to be an exciting season. Right now, I think it's going to be a long season because, like I was telling people, is last year we was like in week 3 already, week 3, week 4 already. It just blew past. But I think that, this year is going to be an interesting year, especially with the matchups and the schedules and everything. So it's going to be something worth to watch. It's something that's going to be very interesting. We can go ahead and take a quick 2 minutes and we'll be back. All right, we back. And again, like I said, I want to get into the matchups. I want to get into especially the most interesting game, and the one I say that I'm going to talk about the Baltimore Cleveland game. I think Baltimore is going to have to come out and prove themselves and basically say, "Hey, yeah, I know we gave up 15, but we're we're a better team than that." They're one of the teams that's favored to go all the way this year. And after Lamar being there, as long as Lamar being there, Lamar deserves to go. He deserves to get into. He deserves to, get to see what it feels like to be in the Super Bowl and get that Super Bowl experience. Um, I would say with that defense, it's definitely going to be a dogfight. It's going to be. Let's see what Flacco can do. But we also know that Flacco will turn the ball over at crucial times in games. And we know that Baltimore will take advantage of that. We know that this Baltimore offense is very explosive. When Lamar gets going, Lamar gets going. Derrick Henry gets going, he gets going. I think they got to get more of the receivers of involved, along with the fact that they was missing likely. Hopefully he's back as well. That's going to be an interesting game. The Dallas Giants game, I will say that's going to be an interesting game, but it's not. Dallas, they playing in Dallas. The Giants defense, yeah. That offense, no. They got to show me more. They have to really, really show me more in order for me to say, hey, this is that team. They're going to be that team. They're going to be that team that, will give other teams or other people problems. And I don't think that they're going to do that. And so, to me, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting on every front. A lot of teams came out injury free. So since they came out injury free, let's see what's going to happen now. And going into tomorrow's games, a slew of tomorrow's games and everything. You got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 1 o'clock games tomorrow. 9 1 o'clock games tomorrow. 3 4 o'clock games. At 9 1 o'clock games, it's going to be very interesting because, like I said, it's. I like the fact that they're early because then you can really, see what a lot of teams is doing in the with that. Basically, it's that early window. A lot of it is going to be must see TV. A lot of it is going to be. I hope you got the NFL ticket so you can watch them because it's going to be very interesting, especially going into the late games where you got Arizona, Indiana, and Kansas City. And Kansas City and Philly is the game of the week. Is America's game of the week, and it's going to be a very interesting game to watch. I know last week, given the fact it was opening season, we got to expect what was expected. This week we may expect the unexpected. So we will see how everything goes and stuff. And then go from there. It's going to give us, as we call bulletin board material to talk about next Saturday, around the same time. I want to get into also the Jacksonville Cleveland game. I'm sorry, not the Jacksonville Cleveland game, the Cincinnati Cleveland game. Cincinnati beat them by a point, which was a shock because Cincinnati, with that offensive power that they have, that firepower that they have, I thought Cincinnati again, I thought that one was going to be a blowout. I did pick them last week, just as I did pick Philly last week, and I thought both games was going to be a blowout, but they wasn't. Now, I picked them straight up. If I would have put points or anything on there or gambled or anything, I'm telling you right now, I think I would have lost. Same with Baltimore. thought Buffalo was going to beat them. I thought Buffalo was going to take. I thought Baltimore was going to basically manhandle Buffalo and smash Buffalo, and it turned out to be something totally, totally different. So the only game that I figured that was going to be close was the Jets and Pittsburgh game, but I expected the Jets to come out on the other side. So we're going to see what happened. I was impressed with the Colts last week. Danny Dimes did his thing. I think he's in a situation where he can thrive, and he's in a situation where he can win a ton of games. I think the Colts may win the South, and the Colts may come out that team in the South. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch. I know last week I went with Carolina. I was surprised. I didn't expect Carolina to lose like they did, but they did. They only put 3 points up, which was crazy. Again, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Anytime, any given Sunday is what they call it. So what we're going to do is now I am going to get into my week 2 picks. I'm going to say why I'm picking these teams. And hopefully I can have Will on next week, my partner in crime, and also my special guest that I thought that could have came on this week, but I think he wants to do more research before he comes on. Try to get him on next week, which is my brother-in-law, and get his insight, especially given the fact that, his team, which is the Raiders, is going to be playing us in Landover. So with that, I'm going to get into my week 2 picks. Week 2, I got Baltimore. I got Baltimore winning because I think Baltimore is going to rebound from that win, from that loss, and Buffalo, and they're going to have a lot to prove because you want to keep the doubters off of your back. And I think the doubters is right now is going to doubt what Baltimore can do. But I think with a Cleveland game this week, should be an easy win. Flacco coming back, emotions and all of that. But I do think Baltimore is going to win that game. I'm going to give Baltimore that game. I'm going to say Baltimore is going to win that game 31. I'm going to say it's going to be 31-17 Baltimore. I'm going to give them 17 points because I think that's what they put up. Or they put 15 up last week. Cincinnati. I got Cincinnati coming out. I'm picking Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is going to show more what they can do. I think Cincinnati is going to show, like last week game, yeah, we started out struggle and everything, but I think they're going to go 2-0. I don't think they're going to go into that slump that they went in when they went 1-3 or 0-4. So I got them going 2-0, and I got them beating Jacksonville. And I got them beating Jacksonville, let's say 30-20. I'm going to give that to Cincinnati. So we got Baltimore and Cincinnati so far. I got Baltimore 31. I got Cincinnati at 30, the 20, and Baltimore 31-17. Dallas against the Giants, that's going to be another good game. That's going to be another game that a lot of us is going to want to watch. And I got Dallas winning that one. We're doing our picks on that one. I have Dallas winning that one at 31. I'm going to say Dallas is going to win that game 31-17. And that's giving the way that Russell and it depends on how Russell plays that game, at 31-17. I'm going to give them that. So far I gave Baltimore a 31-17 win over Cincinnati, depending on, how good Baltimore is going to show up. I'm also giving Cincinnati a win at 30-20 against Jacksonville. And I got Dallas at 31-17. We're going to get into the Detroit-Chicago game, and I think Detroit has to rebound back from – Detroit is going to have to rebound from basically that loss from last week. But I also want to see what Chicago is going to do if Caleb Williams is going to come around and beat Caleb Williams. Okay, if Caleb Williams is going to be what everybody's thinking, because right now everybody think Caleb Williams is going to be that bust. Like I said, my guy Will, I was trying to get him on the podcast to see, his thoughts on his picks and everything. But I got Detroit winning this one, handily winning this one. I'm gonna give that one a 28-10 Detroit victory, but I think it may be more. It may be more. It may be a whole lot less, but we'll see. Actually, so with these picks, I'm gonna go back again. I got Baltimore winning 31-17. I got Cincinnati winning 30-20, and I got Dallas winning 31-17 against the Giants. Actually, Will is on. He's on the live stream doing his thing. I'm trying to have him come into the podcast to hear basically what he thinks or get his picks as well, because I would love to have his picks also coming into week 2 after his team, the Ravens, blew a 15-point lead. So, and I think he should get that benefit of the doubt and everything. So we will see. Let me see if I can get the link set up for him and to get him on, the actual show. Another one, like I said, I got Detroit winning that one, and I'm going to say 28-10 Detroit is going to win that one. New England and Miami, 2 0-1 teams. I think Mike Vrabel is going to come around. I think we're going to see New England offense, especially with Josh McDaniels running the offense. I think seeing that offense, I think that offense is what's going to change. I think the offense is definitely going to change. I do like, the fact that Mike Vrabel is their head coach, but not only their head coach, he's the guy that is that coacher guy. He's the guy that's running things. He's the guy that is single-handedly is going to basically say, hey, this is my team. This is what we're going to do. I think it's an identity thing with me when it comes to them. How is that identity? How is their identity? And is it going to be that Mike Vrabel identity that we're going to see in this new New England Patriots team? So with that, I'm gonna get the Patriots to win on that one. I'm gonna say 24-3 New England. I think they're going to dominate Miami. I got Miami going 0-2. I think Mike Madonna will probably last half the season before they fire him. He might last the whole season, but we will see. New Orleans and San Francisco. That one, given the quarterbacks with both, I will say this. I was at first leaning towards New Orleans, and I was like, well, New Orleans might get this and everything. But given the fact they have Mac Jones and San Francisco starting, and with Mac Jones being in that Kyle Shanahan offense, it's going to be basically something that is definitely going to be worth, looking at and looking into, because of the fact that Mac Jones is the one is starting for them. We got my partner in crime on, Mr. William Young. We'll say hey to everybody. I'm in the pick segment right now for week 2. And we want to I wanna I was on San Francisco, but I'm gonna wait to get onto that San Francisco one. And since you're on here, I want to get your thoughts on your Ravens blowing a 15-point lead. Okay, you got 30. All right. Now, one thing that we will both probably agree that you will probably agree with me on. I think the game would have been a little bit more different also if Likely was there. By Likely being hurt and him not being there, I think that impacted y'all as well because that could have kept y'all foot on the gas and could have kept y'all foot on the accelerator and y'all didn't have to lighten up. I think that had to do with that was probably the X factor of why that league vanished. Do you agree? Okay. Right. Okay. Ooh. All right, so let's get into, and then both of us can get in. You can get caught up with me on the San Francisco one. Let's get into the next game, which is the Cincinnati game. They're playing Jacksonville. What's your thoughts on that, and who do you pick winning that one? Okay, you're taking Jacksonville. Okay, so you got Jacksonville. What's your score? 21-17. Okay. The next one, Dallas against the Giants. Who do you got? What's your score and why do you have them? Okay. Okay. And when do you think that Jackson Dart may make that showing? Because to me, I'm looking at this. If the Giants go on 4, you may see Jackson Dart sooner rather than later. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. And what you said you got the Giants, and what would your final score be? 24-21. Okay, hold on. 24-21. So Baltimore, Cincinnati, Dallas, Detroit. You said 24-21. That's a close. That's a tight one. And who you got winning? The Giants. Oh wow, upset. Upset. Hey, Will making it upset Sunday. He's making it very interesting. I like this. Okay. All right. Next game, Detroit against Chicago. Who you pick? What's the score and why? Wow. Okay. All right. And why is that? Interesting. So basically what you're saying is if he calms down and get some of that Ben Johnson offense down, that he should be all right and he should be able to, be victorious. Okay. So you got Chicago. Go ahead. We all listening. Okay. So so what do you predict the score to be? Well, you're looking at more of the right. You said what's the score? I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, you, hearing you. But you said what's the score is going to be what now? Yeah, we're having a little bit of technical You're fading in and out. I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Will I think you got to get into uh good location. Um, but what I want to do is I'm gonna let you go ahead and get back into it and see and say you got he has so his picks right now is Baltimore 35-14. He got Jacksonville beating Cincinnati 21-17. He got the Giants beating the Cowboys 24-21. And he got Chicago winning 28-20. Okay. You're making this very interesting, buddy. I'm glad you came on. The next one is let's say, oh, the next one is New England and Miami. I have New England winning that game 24-3. Let's get your thoughts on it and why basically you think that will happen, or who do you have winning? So you got 10-6. Go ahead. We can hear you. Miami and New England. Both of them is 0-1. Both of them's coming off losses. Okay. So who you got winning that game? And what's your score? Wow. You may wow. Okay. So you think Miami's going to have a big explosion and you're giving them 35-20. I'm giving New England 24-3. Not just because of Drake May and everybody else. I think Mike Verbal is going to have his team hitting on all cylinders, but I also think Josh McDaniels is going to, call a good game. The next one is San Francisco and New Orleans, and this is where you came in on. I didn't get to make my pick on that one. I was explaining why and what I think. To me, I got San Francisco beating New Orleans. Um, and the reason why is the Mac Jones factor. I think Mac Jones is where he needs to be. I think Mac Jones is with a coordinator that is going to bring the best out of him, that is going to make Mac Jones Mac Jones. And I think that right there is what's going to change everything for San Fran. And with Brock Purdy being out, I think 4 to 6 weeks or 4 to 8 weeks, something like that. Matt Jones, okay, 2 to 5. I think I'm gonna lean more on the 5 than the 2. And the reason why I say that is I think if Mac Jones come out and Mac Jones play good and San Francisco wins convincingly and they dominate, I think Brock Purdy time is going to be a little bit longer because I think they going to see what do we have in the number one pick of Matt Jones. What how now how can we put this in and can we keep him out longer? My thing on that is this. Let's say Mac Jones win the next how many games until he comes back. What are you going to do then? That is going to be a dilemma that is going to be faced in San Francisco. But I still had San Francisco winning that game. I haven't winning it convincingly, given the fact Spencer Rattler is starting for New Orleans. So I'm going to give San Francisco that game, and I'm going to say they're going to win that game 35-3. What's your thoughts? Right, and that's why I say he's with a great coordinator, and I think Kyle Shanahan is going to bring the best out of him, and with Kyle Shanahan bringing the best out of him, I think he may hold on to that job. He may hold on to that starting job, and it may be a dilemma where if he plays like a lot of people think that he can play, I think you're going to see Matt Jones probably take that starting job. I would not be surprised. So you got San Francisco as well, and you said the score is what? 35-20. Okay. Um, Kellen Moore. Okay. 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 Cool. The next one, this one will probably hurt you. I probably know which direction you go on this one, and that is the Buffalo Bills against the New York Jets. Um, I'm going with Buffalo because of the fact that they're playing a Jets team with a new coaching staff and everything else. And I think Josh Allen is going to show that, heck, what we did last week wasn't a fluke. And we're going to continue that trend. And I think Buffalo is going to win that game. I'm gonna give it to Buffalo, but I'm gonna give it to them on a slight win. I'm going to say Buffalo is going to win that game 27-24. Is going to come down to a final kick. I think it's going to come down to Buffalo squeaking out a game-winning field goal. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. So you're giving a nod to who? The Jets? Okay. And what you said the score is? Okay. I agree. Oh, you making it very interesting. Okay. The next one is Seattle against the Steelers. They playing in Pittsburgh, 1 o'clock game. Um, I am going to go with, and I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh on that one. Um, After what Aaron Rodgers did last week, Aaron Rodgers put up 4 touchdowns. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to continue that. I think the other thing is DK Metcalf is going to go off because he's playing his old team, and he's going to think he's going to think it it's going to be where when he I think Aaron Rodgers is going to do his thing, but I think DK Metcalf is going to win that game for Pittsburgh. I got Pittsburgh winning that game. I got them winning that game convincingly. I am going to say Pittsburgh is going to win that game 34-14. They're going to blow them out. And I think that Mike Madonna defense is not going to be able to handle DK Metcalf because DK Metcalf is going to go ham. And again, like I said, I got Pittsburgh winning that game 34-14. Sam Donald. Yeah, yeah, but you got also remember one thing. This is a game that DK Metcalf circled on his calendar. And I right. So did Aaron Rodgers. Right, but so did Aaron Rodgers. Right. Okay. So who you got winning this one? Okay. Next one. I see. I see. You're deep in your feelings. I see that. This is good though. Yeah. I think you did get a we got 9 1 o'clock games tomorrow, so I think you should have saved that sleep. But no, I it's very interesting and it's good podcast material. The other one is the Rams of Tennessee. 1 o'clock game. They're playing in Tennessee. I got the Rams, and I got the Rams in a blowout. I mean a blowout. I'm gonna go 42. I'm gonna go 42-3 Rams. And what you think that score is? Okay, so so you got 40. So yeah. So you saying 42-21. Okay. Um the other one, and this one is now we're getting into the 4 o'clock games. And it's 3 4 o'clock games. We got Carolina and Arizona. I'm going to go Arizona on that one. I'm going to say 30-10 Arizona. The reason why I'm going to say 30-10 Arizona is they're playing a Carolina Panther team that is still lost from last week and still trying to figure it out. And I think once they finally figure it out with Bryce Young and everything, then you will probably start seeing the change. But right now, I'm going to say 30-10 because they're trying to figure it out. So who you got for that one? I got Arizona 30-10. Who you got? Okay, you saying Carolina 31-30. Okay. Like 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 I said, interesting TV. Now, this is probably the next to the 425 game, the Eagles in Kansas City. I think this game, the game before this one, the 405 game, I think this game is going to probably be the most talked about game. You got the Denver Broncos going up against the Indianapolis Colts. You got Bo Nix going up against Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes, who put up 30 points for his team last week in a 30-3 win. This is going to be a good game in the Dome in Indianapolis. Bo Nix on the road going against Danny Dimes. I am going to give the edge to the Colts 28-24, but it's going to be tight and it's going to be interesting. What you think? Over Denver. Bo Nix against Danny Dimes. Bo Nix and Danny Dimes. Not only that, I think he wants to keep this starting job because he knows Shane Steichen, him being in that same second offense, fits him. And I think Danny Dimes is going to hold on to this starting job for the whole year. 42-20 Denver. Okay. Um, the next one is the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. This is in Kansas City now. so, so we already know how the outcome might be. It's a rematch. It's a rematch of the Super Bowl. It's 425. It's on Fox, America's Game of the Week. But it's also they're playing in Kansas City. So I I want to say Philly. I want to lean towards Philly, but given the fact they're playing in Kansas City, I got to give Kansas City the nod, and I'm gonna say it's going to be um 24-21 Kansas City. Kansas City is going to come back from that loss in Madrid. And like I said, and they playing in Kansas City, so you know you got to beat the 12th man with them, which is the referees. I got 24-21 Kansas City. I'm Yeah, I got 24-21 Kansas City over Philly. Who you got? And what's your score? 27-24. Okay, that's going to be interesting. And they're playing in Kansas City now. So don't be surprised. I think, and then the other game that is going to be a good one, which is to me is going to be another must-see game, which I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on, is Michael Penix and his Atlanta Falcons going against JJ McCarthy and his Minnesota Vikings. That game right there, two of the young, talented quarterbacks in the league. All of them came out the same year with Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy. I just said the guy's name in New England. I think this one, I am going to give Atlanta the edge because I think Michael Penix is a much better prospect and a much better quarterback. I'm gonna make that one. I'm gonna say 20-17, and I think I think Kevin O'Connell and them comes to reality to the fact of McCarthy is who McCarthy is, but I think Michael Penix is going to be better. And the same score. Okay. All right. This is the last one. Well, last two. We can make these quick. Tampa over Houston. The only reason why I didn't pick Houston is because of the fact Tampa has that defense. I think they're going to contain the quarterback in Houston, CJ Stroud, and then Houston's running game. They got a lot of injuries and stuff. So I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay on that one. I'm gonna say 24-10 Tampa Bay. Okay. You said Houston what? 17-10. Okay. And then the last one, and then you can go do what you guys to do. Both of these are Monday night games. The Chargers against the Raiders. Harbaugh against Pete Carroll. I think the Chargers are going to get this one. They're a much better team. They got a much better coach, and it's going to be a good one. And I'm going to go 27-24. No, I'm going to go 30-27 Chargers. Okay, and you got the Raiders. The Raiders what? 24-17? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go down real quick, and then Will can go do what he needs to do. He has Baltimore, Jacksonville. All right. Good. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. All right. All right. Later. So again, Will made his picks: 35-14 Baltimore, 21-17 Jacksonville, 24-21 Giants, 28-20 Chicago, 35-20 Minnesota, 35-20 San Francisco, 31-30 Jets, 27-24 Seattle, 42-21 the Rams, 31-30 Carolina, 42-20 Denver, 27-24 Philly, 20-17 Atlanta, 17-10 Houston, and 24-17 Raiders. I have 31-17 Baltimore, 30-20 Cincinnati, Dallas 31-17, Detroit 28-10, New England 24-3, San Francisco 35-3, Buffalo 27-24, Pittsburgh 34-14, the Rams 42-3, Arizona 30-10, Denver 28-24, Kansas City 24-21, Atlanta 20-17, Tampa Bay 24-10, and the LA Chargers 30-27. You got my picks for the week. You got Will picks for the week. We want to thank everybody for coming on, and everybody that was listening, and people that's on the live stream. I want to thank y'all all for listening and for also watching, and also tune in next week. We're going to be on here next week at 9 a.m. and we're going to talk about week 2 going into week 3. We're going to make our picks, and we're going to see how we fared for our picks for week 2. Again, this is the Good Guys podcast. I want to thank everybody, and we also is going to probably have a special guest on next week. So listen to the Good Guys podcast. Love y'all all. Y'all have a safe weekend. Everybody stay safe. The Good Guys podcast. Thanks.